Hello again and welcome back to the workshop this time, and not my cellar looking at 5-inch TVs. I did say I wanted to do an electronic video. Unfortunately that's not happened, but what has happened is this. Don't be appalled, I'm sorry, it's not electronic, there's no wires or batteries that go anywhere near it, but it is a machine that crafters use for embossing and cutting. It's called a Grand Spellbinder is the design, and it's called a Grand Calibur. And what you do is put plates through with various dies and various things on. You turn the handle, the wheels inside, the wheels on the bus go round and round. The wheels inside actually compress that, and out the other end, when your plates come out, you get a cut shape similar to this. I'll show you one that I've done earlier. Okay, and someone has asked me to look at it. Now unfortunately this particular machine is suffering from a lot of problems. First of all, it's really difficult to turn sometimes. It clicks when you turn it, and the plates jam in it, so there's numerous problems. And the thing with these is that because there's such a lot of mechanical force being put on it, if something does go wrong, then it goes wrong in a pretty big way. Now I have looked online and you can get all the spares for these, which is encouraging. So I said I'd have a look at it. So I've made this video about repairing this machine and the various traumas I've had in doing so. So I hope you enjoy it. Those of you who are crafters and own these machines may find it interesting, or those of you that may have to repair them may find it interesting. I'm not an expert on it. It's the first time I've really taken one fully to bits, so there's a lot of stumbles along the way, and I may have been doing things a little bit wrong. However, let's get started to try and get this thing in working order. Oh, there's another issue with it as well. This thing here pulls right out. There's something that's not working right there. So a number of issues. So I'm now going to take it to bits. I'm not going to bore you with all the taking to bits bit, because it's just basically undoing screws. But I'll show you from the start of this repair. Hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back with you later. First issue I found was the gearbox cover had two broken attachment flanges which attach the gearbox to the actual machine itself and allows the handle to go through. And because these were broke, the handle was very loose and wouldn't turn, so those snapped off. There are the two pieces there that were broken off. Let me just zoom in on them. Because of the amount of force that's placed on this when the thing's assembled and screwed together, there's just no way you could glue those. Once I did that, the handle was still loose and it refused to work properly. So that when I stripped it down even further, the second problem, as you can see down the bottom here, was the plastic base plate had a piece chipped off the corner, so it was unstable, and as soon as you put any pressure on the rollers, that rose up and prevented the plates from going through the rollers. So that was the second problem. There was a circlip missing on the stand that held it to the table, which I've got some more new circlips. So those were the two items I needed, and fortunately they're all readily available, as you can see from eBay. First item that I had to get hold of was a new gearbox cover, and I got that from eBay, and strangely enough they actually sent two, which is rather peculiar. They're both almost identical. There's a slightly different marking on those, but as far as I can see they're perfectly identical. So that was the gearbox cover to replace the broken one. Secondly, I needed the base plate, and this actually has just arrived, so I'm going to open this now. hopefully, yes, it's correct. It's the right base plate, and so I'll be replacing that. So anyway, if you bear with me, this video is going to be about me reassembling this Spellbinder Grand Calibur machine, and hopefully get it back into a working condition. Right, so there we go. There's the spare parts. There's lots of other bits to go together, but hopefully I've got my circlip pliers. Okay, hopefully this will all go well, but one never knows with these things. So let's get started. Reassemble all this. It's very important that it's re-greased, because a lot of pressure on these rollers here from the bearing end. So let's do all this. It's all been very, very dry. So I'm going to put lots of grease in the bearings. Pull more out of there, and so that it's got a nice traction. And I'll also grease the end of the rollers. Always clean it off afterwards, but just make sure it's got plenty of grease around the end of the roller, and a little bit more on there, so that's all greased as well. You can always clean up the rollers once it's all fitted. Now I need to find my towel, which has disappeared, so I can clean my hands off before I do any more. And right, I'm going to just pause briefly while I clean myself up a bit before I put that in back in. Now very gently, let's turn this up on here and get that aligned so that these can fit in again, and making sure the right one is in the right slot. And that they all turn properly. Yeah, that's okay. That brings it up there. That brings it up there. And let's just make sure that all this turns before I do any more. That's fine. Let's put the rest of them in. And the last one down here. A spanner was not, using a pliers was not quite the way to go. I'm going to put them to one side because I need a thorough clean up. So a spanner is much better. Now, now I've got rotation of both sets of rollers, and it's fairly free and there's no bangs in it. So now it's the final assembly of the gearbox. So for that, I've put the circlip on there. We need this back on. It needs to go on there. There goes the spanner. And then this one, again, more grease. And there's no cogs missing on that into there, so we have a metal cog with a metal cog, and that's all turning nicely. And when I purchased this new cog here, it did say on the packet, it still say on the packet, apply grease on the part before use. So let's do that. This is what I don't like about mechanical stuff too much. The mess you get in with electronics, you stay reasonably clean. So let's put a bit more grease on this. Wipe my hand again. It just spreads everywhere. And that one on there. And lastly, the gearbox housing. This is the new one which I bought, so that can hopefully sit in there properly. Onto there. Click in place. It's always reassuring to have a click when you're putting this sort of stuff together. Select the right Allen key and so that we don't get any distortion. It's quite satisfying, this kind of work, but give me electronics any day. I suppose I'm not as good at this. I always feel that I'm blundering my way through it rather than doing it with any finesse. But we are getting there. And the last one, probably gone runabouts. Okay, I'm back again and I've tidied myself up a bit now, and what I want to do is show you the other problem I had. On this base plate there's a piece that goes in here like that, and there's a crank handle which goes through it, so as you turn it, it actually pulls that rubber in to create a suction on the base that you're putting it on. Now the problem I had, that the handle kept being pulled out. Now there is a washer which should go in there, but the piece of plastic, you can't really see it, but the piece of plastic which is supposed to be the divider for the washer had broken, so there was nothing to stop the handle being pulled back out. So what I've done is innovated it a little bit, and an old cassette case I've actually cut up. There, I'll take a close-up of that for you. So that the when the handle goes through now, I'm just going to test it. There it is. It's got something to put the washer on the other end here, so that the thing doesn't pull back out all the time. So let me just show you that. And then there's a split pin that goes through it. So I'll take a photo of that as well, so you can have a close-up of that. Which way round does it go? These things are pretty symmetrical, unfortunately, and you can get them completely wrong. I'm just going to do a blind assembly first without screwing anything in, so I get it right. So that goes onto there. This side is the side that the so the handle's on there, and that one will go onto here. There. So that's the last one to go on. So that means that's all the way round, and that handle will go through there. But obviously that's got to go through there before I actually put this on. So the first job is to screw, excuse me, me meandering, but just one of those things. Right, let's screw this on. And these are actual, they're actually threaded bolts in there, which you'd expect because of the weight of the thing. So let me put these in. again, I'll do a symmetrical assembly so that I don't strain anything. Gently. 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 I always find that when you're assembling stuff like this, it's so easy to get something in the wrong order, and then you come to finish off and you find a part that should have gone in about 4 steps back. That's not only incredibly frustrating, but it's incredibly time wasting as well. We're there now, this is the last one. This piece, make sure that doesn't fall out. Sure that fits in properly, and put one screw in there, I think, to start off with, just to hold it in place a wee bit. I'm going to find a to wipe this one off now. Dear oh dear oh dear oh dear. Grease, grease, grease. It's almost like Saturday Night Fever here. Right, I'm going to put this one in. And this one. Now we come to this handle, so we're going to have to put that in here, make sure it's all lined up all the way through. Now turn it over. Fiddly this actually. That needs to then go through, but of course that's got to go on first. And then it's got to go through there. And then without breaking anything, turn it over again. And find... So it goes through. Hey! I've cut now to the completed machine. I had 1 or 2 hiccups in assembling it and getting things sorted, but it's all done, and there it is, and working, and I'll demonstrate that to you a little bit later with the embossing plates going through. You can see in the front here all the bits it took to fix it. Now, as I say, I'm not an expert at crafting or these machines at all, but this is what happened to it. There's the gear cover plate, there's the base plate, and there's the cog inside and a couple of little bits that had broken off as well. Quite how it got into that state I don't know, but with these machines, if something sticks when you're putting it through the embossing and cutting plates in here, if it jams, and you pursue pushing on that rather large handle, then something's got to give. So it's very important when you're using these machines, I guess, to make sure that you've got everything set up correctly, and the plates and the embossing sheets are the right size before you put them in. It's taken me ages to do this. Bit embarrassing really, but in the end it became a challenge more than just getting the thing fixed, so I was determined to sort it. Cost, I suppose, about in parts about £50, still cheaper than a new machine, but if it happens again, I'd certainly suggest to whoever owns it that perhaps they ought to invest in a new machine, because this one is quite old. Well, there's a machine all ready to cut a die. The die I'm going to use is that circle, so I'll show you how to put these together in a minute. This is not my forte, by the way. So I put the machine on the table. I'm going to now use this lever to sit. I think what I'll do is take that away so it secures it directly to the table. So I'm going to bring this lever up and push it down like that, and that secured this firmly. It's actually very good to the table. I'm now going to put my plates in, and the first plate, the first board I'm going to use is this one, and just to give it a little bit more thickness, I'm going to use just a poly sheet there. It's just basically a page wrapper sheet. And then after that, I'm going to put the card that I want to cut there. And then after that, I'm going to put in the die, and then the whiteboard on the top. It does tell you on this on the pull-out there the order to put things in, and it does also say incorrect sandwiches will damage your machine. And I suppose the same goes for us really. Incorrect sandwiches can give us indigestion. Okay, so I'm now going to feed this in very optimistically, and I'm going to he says, not used to doing this, feed it into the machine and hopefully it will wind through. Here it goes. So I'm winding it through, and it's quite easy to do. No real fuss on it at all. No squeaks and no bangs of the gears, so it's all going really well. And hopefully when I've cut that through, bring it out the other side. There. And I remove that one and remove the die, and there it is, a perfectly cut circle as a result of that die. So there, I'm really quite pleased that it works so flawlessly. So I'm very pleased with that, and it works. So yeah, and no real fuss with this, and no clonks of gears not working properly. So it's finished. As I say, it's not something I normally like to repair. It's exercised my mechanical skills and patience quite a bit, and thanks to eBay, I've managed to get all the parts I needed for it, and I suppose the overall cost has been about £50. And if you add on a bit for the grease and other things, maybe £55. But it's done, and it's working, much cheaper than buying a new machine, which can be £100, £110. So there we go, and it's all working. Hopefully they'll be pleased with it. The die cutter works fine, and the plates that go with it, I've cleaned them up as well, so that's all done. Now, am I going to do another one of these? Well, probably not, unless word gets around that I can fix them. But yeah, I think next time I go into it, I'll be going with my eyes wide open, and maybe not make as many fundamental errors as I have this time. But nevertheless, it's done, and I'm now going to stop this, tidy my desk, clean all the oil from my tools and my bits and pieces, my screwdrivers, clean them all up for grease, and then I'm going to have a rest for the rest of the evening. Hopefully I'll be back with you soon with another video, but this time maybe an electronic video or a more technical video. But yeah, I've enjoyed doing it eventually, frustrated at times, but hey-ho, it's done. As always, thank you for watching, and as always, take care.